Welcome tonight to the great debate. The question, can I top last week's introduction? And the answer is no.
Absolutely you did. Nick, you killed it.
I don't know about that.
Killed it.
But regardless, welcome to Deceptive Reality. I'm Nick, and this is Bert.
Welcome everybody to the one and all show of all topics. And boy, did we got some
Welcome
topics
to the
for you this
greatest
week.
show on earth.
Greatest show on earth, boys and girls. It's funny because when we come into this and we're trying to plan like, hey, what do you got? What are we going to be doing this week? It's always funny because Nick and I always comes up with, we try to come up with like a story or two, but I was kind of shocked this week. I told Nick, I'm like, yeah, I got a topic, and I tell him what it is, and he goes, mine's similar. And I'm like, they're going to think we plan all this stuff. They're going to be like, no, you guys, you plan all this stuff. I'm like, no, we don't.
Well, we're all about being spontaneous. Like, we don't plan that, but we're on the same wavelength tonight. It's interesting.
That's a sign, Nick.
It is a sign.
Yep. It's almost like the world is like, you know what? Let's make sure that they can rock out a great story.
That's right. This last week, I've been accidentally and on purpose seeing a lot of conspiracy things.
Oh, really?
My this is the wildest one. I just wrote back to my friend. I said, yeah, I can't wait for this. Supposedly there's a conspiracy going around that the United States government has made an $84 billion program because scientists have predicted that in August of this year, the Earth's going to lose gravity for 7 seconds.
I saw that.
You heard this?
I did hear this stupid stuff.
Isn't that the most insane thing that you've ever heard?
I feel like sometimes they're just like out of cool things to talk about. So they're like, this week's conspiracy, reptiles are coming up from the bottom of the ground. It's like,
I
no,
believe that more.
It's so bad though, because it's like, at least if you're going to come up with something that makes a little bit of sense.
Right.
But I feel like none of these have made any kind of sense.
I think that the people that make this up, like 7 seconds doesn't sound like that long. But in terms of losing all your gravity, which is not possible, by the way, it is not possible.
Right.
That would be catastrophic.
Well, our planet would have to stop spinning, like first and foremost.
Right. And well, it would also cease to have mass somehow.
Right.
Like at the center of the Earth would have to hollow out or something like that.
This is always the problem. When they come up with these stories, it's like the conversation we had at the end of yesterday.
Right.
Or I'm sorry, last podcast. When we talk about
it's just yesterday to us.
It's like yesterday, yeah. For you, those of you watching, is probably if you watch these in order, it's like yesterday.
Yeah.
It's kind of like the guy that was inventing that Simon Says thing. You throw a bunch of big words in there, and the average person, it's plausible. I was talking to somebody today, and they know, obviously, I've got the podcast and everything, and they're like, what's your theory on flat Earth? And I go,
oh, I dread getting that question.
I said, well, basic common sense tells me it's not flat, first off. And they're like, what? How do you know? Like, I've seen some really compelling videos. And I said, you ever been near some farmland? And you can literally almost watch the sun going down across like fields and stuff. If it was just a flat thing that's spinning, it would be light, no light. It's not going to go in like a curved motion. Like that doesn't make sense.
Well, I think a lot of them believe it sort of just goes around like this. Yeah. But if that were the case, it would never be fully dark.
Right.
Anywhere. I'll tell you why I really dread someone asking me that question is because I like to try and live my life being nice to people, but that would be the end. Like I couldn't confront someone who believes that and remain calm, I don't think.
It's tough from a standpoint of trying to for them, it's all conspiracies. Everything's a conspiracy that we talk
Right.
about. So I can understand where they come from, but it's like, guys, like there is a level to the madness that I will listen to.
Yeah.
And that's about as far as it will go. It will ever go.
I feel like their lives have gotten so far out of control
Mhm.
that they're fighting back against the most insane thing
Oh, for sure.
that they can think of, just to have some semblance of you're not going to fool me, you're not controlling me
Right.
kind of thing. But absolutely bonkers. Like I've said to someone one time, I said, how can they stand on a planet, look through a telescope, and every single thing you see is a sphere,
Right.
and you think everything else is a sphere, but you're standing on a plane?
Again, it literally comes down to somebody seeing something that kind of makes sense and they run with it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yet, there's things where I'm actually like, hey, there's this one story that with this and that and the other, and they're like, there's no way that's legit. And I'm like, you just talked about flat earth. Like,
How dare you judge
how
my story?
dare you judge me? But
It's
to each their own.
crazy, man.
To each their own.
Yeah, I guess so.
If that's what they want to die on that hill, that's on them.
Yeah. Well, I guess I can kind of see being generous.
Mhm.
I can kind of see the appeal in that you must feel like all the time you're part of a big cover up. Like your life must be kind of exciting because you think everyone's out to get you, and you're the only one who knows the truth of this massive thing. And
For sure.
that's an adventurous worldview, maybe.
It's something. I'll give it something.
Yeah.
Which reminds me, before we get too deep into this,
Mhm.
we did have our buddy. He was over in our
Oh.
Discord page. For those of you that does not know, we do have a Discord if you want to talk about things outside of the show or, do different things. Long story short, he's like, hey, I didn't even know where to put this at. And he ended up I'm looking for it now. I forget where he put it at. I did want to talk to you about it. Media drops is where I think he put it. There was a tweet that he kind of wanted our opinions on.
Mm-hmm. Oh, this is interesting.
And it's our good old buddy, Hyatt Riot. What's up, Hyatt? And the thing he posed to us and the question that he got off of Twitter is from the Blurry Creatures podcast. I think he listens to them also.
Oh.
I think he told us we needed to listen to them. I still haven't done it. Sorry, Riot. But it says, if demons aren't real, why does every ancient civilization describe the same entity but by different names?
Oh, interesting one. I have pondered this topic quite a bit.
Have you?
Yeah, because I do think demons are real.
Yeah.
Or I either do think that or I want to think that.
One of the
two. I'm looking for future career opportunities.
Nick, he's wanting to go down that avenue of being a doggone demon. I did a little bit of research because I'm like, if our buddy Riot, if he's gonna give us a world pondering questions, we got to answer them, Nick. We can't stay on the diving board. We got to jump.
That's right. Well, I mean, we're full of opinions, so
we are full of opinions. I asked the old Chat GPT, I'm like, hey, I know about some demons, but tell me some stuff about demons I did not know. And it posed a question that was the same. If demons aren't real, why did ancient Mesopotamians, Egyptians, Hindus, Hebrews, Chinese, and Mayans, who never met, all describe hauntingly similar evil entities by different names? From the lion-faced Pazuzu of Babylon to the horned Oni in Japan, nearly every old civilization feared something uncannily alike lurking in the dark. And It talked about in Mesopotamia, clay tablets from 3,000 years ago had vivid descriptions of Pazuzu, who rode a
Mhm.
grotesque winged, or it was a grotesque winged figure with a lion's head and a scaly body. Have you heard of any of these things? Obviously, I know you heard about the horned Oni. I know that.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you've also heard of Pazuzu before
Yes. You and I actually
from The
talked about it. You brought
Exorcist.
him up.
Yeah. So, I mean, that was famous from The Exorcist, but that's been around a long time. Um, from what I've read, which is fairly extensive, I'm not going to say I'm an expert.
Yep.
I have a couple. Let's pretend for a second that we don't think demons are real, which we do.
Yep.
Or I do. And you, well, I think you're legally obligated to think
I
that.
have to be. I don't have a choice, Nick.
Right. You get in trouble if you don't think that. But I also believe that. And let's pretend for a second that we don't believe that.
Yep.
What are some reasons that people have put forward why they all describe similar things? Well, think of all the descriptions of demons.
Yep.
And they all have characteristics from animals
Yep.
that harmed us.
True.
Like we've got lion faces, we've got scales, we've got snake bodies. Actually, this is something that maybe a lot of people don't know, but the horn thing, there used to be a lot more dangerous animals with horns, like the auroch. Have you ever heard of that?
No.
So they were the ancestors to the cows, and they used to gore people all the time.
Oh, wow.
So they were quite a dangerous thing. So we turned the tables on them.
Yeah,
Thank
we
you,
took them out.
McDonald's. Yeah, they're in trouble now. But they're all amalgamations of things that used to scare us, like the lion. Like when you looked at infrasound in The Exorcist, they put lions growling
Right.
in the background there. So we have that kind of things. We have like bat wings. You don't hear about demons with bird wings or dove wings. It's bat wings.
That's true.
Because, these are things flying in the night. They're just skin and teeth and fangs. The demons have big tusks or teeth. If you go into Egyptian times, the more pleasant gods are like falcons, falcon-headed gods, things like that. But then when you get to the nasty ones, they have crocodile heads, they're jackals, all that kind of stuff. So those are more like demonic bad gods.
Huh.
So it's just an amalgamation of our fears. Also, a lot of this stuff got passed down through the joining of religions and stuff to come to our modern day. So if you didn't believe in demons, that's what you'd probably say.
That makes sense. I even looked, if you look at Africa, in fact, South Africa, stories of the Takalashi.
Okay.
It's described as a small, hairy imp summoned by sorcerers to harm others. This goblin-like demon crawls into homes at night, causing illness, choking sleepers, or stealing children.
Ooh, nasty fella.
Yeah, that guy's he's a bad guy, man.
Yeah. I know in some animistic religions, everything's got a spirit, so anything could be out to get you. Like in Shinto religion, for example, anything that got to be 50 years old would have a spirit and could haunt you. There were people spirits. There were like spirits of certain trees, sometimes good, sometimes bad. Cats, if they got to a certain age, would start walking upright and do nasty tricks on you. Foxes.
Oh, foxes.
Could be evil spirits.
They're crafty, Nick. You got to watch out for the foxes.
You really do, especially in Japan.
Oh, yeah. The Japanese foxes, boy.
Oh, yeah.
They're tricky.
They're bad. They got multiple tails.
Oh, man. That's like what is that Pokemon with the 9 tails? Is that what it is?
Maybe.
Or 8 tails?
I know there's like...
Is it 9 tails? What the heck is it? I need my phone.
There's so many of them. Who can keep up with how many Pokemon there are?
There's something tails. I know that. I don't even remember where I put my cell phone, Nick.
Oh,
What?
have you ever heard of Naruto?
I have. That's the dude that runs with his arms behind his back, right?
That's right.
That's the guy?
Well, yeah, he's possessed by the spirit of the nine-tailed fox. So.
Oh, is that what it is? I wonder if that's where the Pokemon came from. I feel like it's nine tails.
Well, it could be. It's probably more like Japanese religion, like Shinto, where that comes from.
Nine tails. That's what it is. Pokemon Nine Tails, known in Japan as Kyoken.
Okay.
And it evolves into a Pokemon called Vulpix.
Okay, I've heard of that one. Yeah.
Yeah, but it's nine tails in the beginning. And there's someone screaming, how do they not know Pokemon? I'm sorry. I don't know the old Pokemons.
I used to play Pokemon Go, but there was not, I don't know. There was too many. I couldn't remember them all.
I can't remember them. It's too much. I got too many other things going on, folks. It was on when I was younger, but at the end of my younger.
Yeah.
That's what I'll say.
Well, actually, before we get too off on a tangent, what's your thoughts of why demons from all cultures are similar?
Again, if I played devil's advocate and I was not a Christian.
Literally devil's advocate in this case.
Literally. 100%. I would think it'd be because the human psyche has to have a good guy and a bad guy, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like every movie, it's got a good guy, it's got a bad guy, and it's got a story in between. So
yeah,
I feel like if something goes wrong, they have to blame it on something or someone, like if there's a bad crop or if somebody gets sick or, you know, whatever it may be, whatever the misfortune is, there has to be a bad guy. So again, if I did not believe per se in a demon or demonic activity, that's what it would go to. Now I can tell you, having the process of starting to work with people that might be struggling with mental ailments or drug related things, they concoct those stories themselves in their heads. So
that's true.
That's why you got to kind of rule things out, I guess is the best way to put it, because it's easy for a brain to go that direction just with a little bit of tweaking.
Yeah. When it comes to physical description of these things, where do the similarities to that come from in your mind?
I think it's going to be similar to kind of what you talked about. Like, again, it's always going to be something dark, right? Like, you know, if you look at most enemies, they're always kind of scary looking. You know, again, if it's a bad guy, like if you ever talked about a bad guy, you wouldn't be like, oh, that's an attractive guy that has this or that.
Right.
It's going to be this evil looking villain with a, you know, the mustache that's got the little curl up. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like it's always something.
Or if you think of like edgy teenagers and stuff, when they draw a picture of some badass, powerful dude, they always got horns.
Exactly.
And stuff like that. We associate that with danger and power and all that kind of stuff.
That is true. That's very true.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Everyone's done it.
Hopefully we gave you a good answer on that, Riot. That's the best I could come up with. It's an easy question to kind of go off on a tangent based on, you know, your thought process or your religion or whatever it may be. But
I have a quick fact that leans into this, so I'm glad we brought it up.
Okay.
Did you know that through the use of Ouija boards, there is a single name that keeps coming up thousands and thousands and thousands of times to people who are playing with the Ouija board?
It just randomly comes up?
It's a name that sort of interrupts sessions and sort of hijacks the Ouija board, and supposedly there's literally thousands of people that this name has come on during one of their sessions. You ever heard this before?
No, I have no clue what you're about to say.
It's an entity called Zozo, Zozo,
Yeah.
or Zo,
I know the
depending on
name.
which country you're in. Yeah, supposedly that entity, whatever it is, shows up to people on Ouija boards more than anyone else,
Huh.
repeatedly, causes mischief, refuses to let people end the game, and always has similar answers. In fact, it often troubles people for nights afterwards after they play. But there's been literally thousands of recurrences of this name from people who have never heard it before, interrupting their Ouija board sessions, even when they're talking to supposedly someone else. Zozo shows up
Huh.
and messes with people.
You know, I just saw a something recently, probably within the last year, and I watched an entire thing on the Zozo demon.
Oh, yeah.
And it talked about how he was mischievous, how he was kind of a trickster, so to speak.
Mm-hmm.
But that's wild that it just come. But you know, everyone's going to say, "Oh, it just came up randomly. It was dumb luck." And it's like, not when there's thousands of cases.
Not
That's
when there's
just
thousands.
Yeah, that's wild.
So that's sort of on the other side of the coin, where people describe demons the same because they are the same. They're the same ones. Zozo could be
very
one.
well be 100%. I could see it.
Because Zozo shows up to people of different beliefs, different faiths, different countries, always behaves the same, but it can be anywhere at any time.
Huh. Kind of a spooky thought process.
Yeah. We should do that. We should see if we can get Zozo to come out when we go on our next trip.
No, I'm good. I'm good. I'm good.
There's lots of Ouija boards there.
Yeah, nope, good. You know my rule. No Ouija board for me, boys. Nope. Zero.
We'll be like, sit at the table. I'll be like, Bert, can you hold this for me? And I'll just hand you a planchette.
I'll be like, nope. No, sir. Zero chance. Old Bert ain't opening that door, boys. Ain't no way. Couldn't pay me enough
you got
money.
Holy water, though. You just spray that around.
Nope. I'd be sitting there sprinkling on myself. I'd be like, this thing ain't coming home with me. Not today, Jesus. Not today.
Not today. But yeah, I hope that we gave enough answer to Riot's question. I think we went into it quite a bit there.
How'd we do, Riot? Did we do good? Are we of the same opinion as you? You didn't even tell us in your theory what you was thinking.
What's your opinion?
Yeah, what was you talking about, Riot?
Call him right now.
Yeah,
no, just kidding.
Get him on the phone. Golly.
Well, we sort of gave both sides. Like we role played non-believers.
Correct.
And then we just were believers. So.
Yeah, we're kind of stuck on that one. Sorry, folks. I'd be on the believing train on that one.
Oh, yeah. I say I believe, but I think it's more like I want to believe. Like I don't know for sure on that, but I'm leaning towards I wish it were true.
Just because he wants to be one, boys and girls.
Yeah. Yep. Job opportunities.
Crazy. So you have an interesting story. It kind of ties into mine, Nick. I kind of want you to dive into yours. I want to get your thought process on mine too.
Heck yeah. Like, so we talked last time because you did a really good dramatic presentation of a story.
Yeah.
And I said, I want to do that too. That's fun.
Yeah.
So I went searching through the halls of history. And one of the things I like that we've talked about a lot, I don't believe in it a lot necessarily, but we talk about the Antarctic a lot.
Yes.
And there being stuff there. So I found one. I mean, there's not a lot of stuff going on at the Antarctic.
But
I found a story. Or is there? This story might lead you to believe that there is more. And I had to roll up my sleeves for that if anyone heard that sound.
Oh, that's big time.
So go with me, if you will.
Yep.
To the howling, cold winds of the Antarctic.
Ooh.
Everywhere you see, miles and miles around, miles for you Americans, there you go, is just dunes and cliffs of ice. You've been called to an expedition. You're a scientist, and you're going to the station formerly called Haley 9.
Okay.
There's still some stations in the Antarctic. Haley 6, I think, or Haley 5 is still in operation, but this was Haley 9.
Yeah.
And you have been there for months.
Yeah.
Now, when you first get there, it's exciting. You're all bundled up in gear. You don't know what you're going to find. But after a few months, the cold starts getting to you. The loneliness starts getting to you. And when you're not lonely, you're around the same 6 people that you've been around for months.
Okay.
So it starts to get old. Now, you're in there with a bunch of other people. Now, your name is Daniel Mercer. No relation to the famous one. Just another scientist. He's a communications and systems engineer.
Okay.
There's Evelyn, a geophysicist and the team lead. Tom, an electrical technician. Mara, who is an atmospheric physicist. Jonah, a data analyst. And Lena, a glaciologist. And you're just doing your different studies there. But Daniel had one of the more desirable jobs after they were there a couple months because he's almost always in the communications center.
Okay.
Now, why is the communications center more desirable than the other jobs? Because that is the only part of the station that has equipment that's always on and generates heat, and it's the coziest, warmest part of the entire research station.
Oh, well, yeah.
So Daniel's got it made. He's warm, and people go in there and hang out on breaks because you don't need 2 layers in there. Even the other heated parts of the research center, still kind of cold. You're in the Antarctic.
Oh, yeah.
But the communications center, oh, cozy. They've brought in their personal effects and stuff. It's sort of like a clubhouse.
Yeah.
But it's also the heart of the whole thing because all the data goes through there. So Daniel was working there one night, just like every other night. He's been doing it for months. They take shifts because it's got to be manned most of the time, but Daniel was doing the bulk of it. That was his specialty. So what they were studying was subglacial resonance, and that's deep beneath the Antarctic ice sheet. Enormous cavities exist where ice met rock, pressure built and released in slow rhythmic pulses. You know, interesting stuff that we want to know. And he always said that they were listening to the ice sing because it was the sounds that it made.
Yeah.
So he was in there. By midwinter, the sun was gone entirely. And all of a sudden, he picked up something that he thought was coming in over the radio because the other sensors made beeps and pulses and that kind of thing. But it was a voice that came through. And it was unusual for a voice because there was no static. It wasn't distorted. And it had no accent that anyone who listened to it could pick up. They couldn't pinpoint where the person may have come from. And all it said was, "This is not for you yet." So he heard it. It came in clear. He wasn't even aware he had the, radio tuned anything. There wasn't any, Haley 9 come in, anything like that. Just perfectly clear. This is not for you yet. At first he thought he had imagined it. He turned around to see if anyone had come in the room. Didn't sound like a voice he recognized, but he couldn't tell. But then it repeated, "This is not for you yet." He checked the frequency, no scheduled traffic, no known station, no reflection path that made sense. Like he couldn't figure out where the signal was coming from, but it was so clear and the strength of it had to be local. So he went and gathered the other people at the station. There was only 6 of them there. And they were all in the room, and he said, well, if this keeps happening, if this stops now, it was one of these jokers playing a trick on me. So he had all of them in there, and they all heard it. This is not for you yet. Checked all the gear. Everyone was twisting things and going into it. They couldn't make the signal stronger. They couldn't lose the signal. So Daniel jumped on the radio, which he thought it must be coming through. And he said, Haley 9 to sender, identify yourself. Static broke in. There wasn't static before.
Yeah.
Then again, the voice came without static. This is not for you yet. So people were starting to get a little unsettled because clearly the signal was coming local. It must have been local to be that strength and that clarity. We're talking meters, not miles.
Yeah.
And there was no other research center even remotely close to Haley 9. So probably 5 or 6 more times, the voice repeated, this is not for you yet. And then it stopped. No signing off, nothing. Static didn't come back. And the static is really what threw Daniel off. He sort of realized it before anyone else. And he was like, I don't think this voice is coming through the radio at all. I think it's coming through the regular equipment somehow. But since it stopped, they couldn't really look into that more. So they kept listening. Nothing. Didn't come back. Everything was clear that night and all the next day. So after repeating that, like, people thought, oh, Tom said it was a prank. Lena said, where could it be from? It's like, something, must be some kind of joke. But Daniel assured him that it couldn't come in like that. This was a close signal. So just in case it came back, because eventually he had to sleep, Daniel rerouted every sensor through a buffer that recorded it.
Yeah.
In case it came back so they wouldn't miss it. Now, the ICE data did show unusual resonance patterns that day, low frequency pulses that did not match expected glacial movement.
Okay.
All that day. And it kept people from sleeping very well.
I'd assume.
Yeah, there was a lot going on in their mind. But nothing else happened that night. The next day went through clear. They had some unusual readings that they weren't expecting, but nothing like that. So the next night, Daniel was alone again. And the voice came back. But it didn't say the same thing as it did before. This time, all the sensors spiked. The lights in the station even dimmed from other witness accounts of this. And the voice started saying, this is for you, instead of this is not for you yet.
Oh, boy.
Daniel was a little freaked out. And he started to pick up the radio to talk again, and he'd actually press the button, which would interrupt any signal.
Yeah.
But while he had the button pressed, the voice came through clear again.
What? Okay. There's something to that.
This is for you. So he was sure at this point that this was not coming through the radio. The radio had nothing to do with this.
Right.
This was coming through the other sensors, like the ones that listened to the resonance in the ice and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So at that moment, the station's automated monitoring system triggered a priority event. And what this does is this actually plays alerts, sounds from the sensors across the station in case no one's listening, because it's a priority event. And what did they hear through the speakers in the station? This is for you.
What is it? I'm dying to know what it is.
Everyone heard it. Everyone sat in bed. People dropped their mugs. People ran. Some people froze. And it said, "This is for you." And the last one was, "You are ready." And then silence. All the vibrations stopped. The sensors normalized. The station felt hollow. But when they got to the radio room, Daniel wasn't there.
What?
He was gone. His parka was missing. His boots were missing. And all that they had left of him was footsteps leading out into the snow.
And they never found him.
They never found him. No body was ever found. They never heard from him again. They never found any equipment he took with him. Nothing. And when I was reading through accounts of this before, I was kind of like, how did they even know Daniel was there and that he heard this?
Yeah.
And the reason is, I don't know if you recall from the first part, but he rerouted all the sensors through the recording buffer.
Oh, yeah.
And it captured the voice saying, "This is for you. You are ready."
Do we got the recording?
On the second night. Huh?
Do we have the recording?
I looked as far as I could and could not find that recording.
Ah, you hurt my feelings, Nick.
I know. I knew that part was going to be such a disappointment. So basically, they didn't know this right away. They didn't even know they did that. But weeks later, during a routine systems audit, one of the guys found it. The archival system had done its job. The second transmission existed as a synchronized event file linked to the seismic spike and atmospheric anomaly. Timestamp, clean, verified by multiple redundancies. They listened together. The voice was clearer than before. It was the realization that scared them, that the voice did not originate from an external signal path. The audio was generated within the system's own signal processing chain. So the voice was generated from their sensors, as if the system had completed a pattern rather than received a broadcast. And the resonance they had been studying had used the station to speak. So after that, all the resonance from that they were studying, the spikes that they had seen, leveled off and didn't come back. So after this, though, which was considered a pretty big problem, that someone had disappeared, Haley 9 was decommissioned the following year. Officially, it was budget cuts and infrastructure concerns. People doubted the data and didn't think it was valuable. So they cut all the funding to the station and it closed down. Like I said, there's still Haley 6 or 5. I can't remember what one it was. But before they left, and this is probably why we don't have the signal, a decommission team came in and wiped the systems.
Oh, come on, man.
Years later, a technician reviewing archived Antarctic data found a single anonymous audio file mislabeled as background noise. A calm voice saying, "This is for you," only once, in the fragmented file. And this is all from testimonies of 5 of the workers, 5 of the research scientists from Haley 9.
Dang it. I want to hear that recording so bad. That's one of those.
I do too. I do.
Someone's got to
never be able to believe it either, though.
Right.
Because all they were able to recover after those years is just someone saying, "This is for you."
Makes the rest of the story fit, though.
Mm-hmm.
That's the thing. If it makes the rest of the story fit, I think it's worth it just to have that little fragment.
I looked for it and I'm going to keep looking for it. It's got to be out there somewhere.
Man, this is so similar to my story, kind of. And it really makes you kind of wonder, like, okay, what actually is all of these things? Like, how well versed are you with my story?
If you only gave me a brief of it, but I think I've heard a fair amount of it.
Okay.
but I'm always open for new surprises.
I'm curious if everyone at home is kind of in the same ballpark. I want to build a story and I want to bring you all along with me. Okay, let's say it's 2:13 in the morning. 13 because that's the evil number. So 2:13 in the morning, you're all alone, the lights are off, all of your family's asleep, and you're scanning this thing called a shortwave radio. Almost like you're out there fishing in the deep water, just hoping for something. You know, when I was a little kid, my uncle had a CB radio, and we used to talk to truckers all around the world, and that's exactly what I thought about when I saw this story. But anyway, you're listening to shortwave radio, then you hear it. Okay. It's not a DJ. It's not a podcast. It's not your favorite podcast of deceptive reality. It's not even a late night talk show. It's just a calm voice. And it's reading numbers, Nick. And it's such an eerie thing to hear that it makes you lose your mind a little bit. Because as you're sitting there, out of nowhere, you just hear
Echo Hotel. Echo Hotel. Echo Hotel. Echo Hotel. Echo Hotel.
That is freaky.
it's very freaky.
Echo Hotel. Echo Hotel.
Listen to the accent in the voice.
Hotel. Echo Hotel. Message 437. 437. 92. Good. Attention. 437. 43.
So there's no station name. There's no commercials. There's no explanation, just numbers that's happening again and again. Almost like they're trying to give a message to someone to potentially find it. It's kind of like what do they call those? The things where catch or cache, what do they call those? Those little things that they put out and then they hide it and they give people coordinates and you got to find them. What's that called?
Geocaching.
Geocaching, right? It almost feels like that to a degree. Now, let me ask you, Nick. Let's say you're just out there and you're playing with a shortwave radio and you hear something like that. What's your first thought?
Very first thought. Well, other than what the F is this?
Right.
I'd be like, there's something hidden in this. What does this mean?
Right. You'd probably think it's like, maybe like a prank. You know, there's no rhyme or reason for it. None of it really makes sense. And a lot of people says, well, this is just an urban legend. What you just heard is one of those recordings. This is not an urban legend. It's real. And the amazing thing is it's still happening to this day.
Really?
Yes. It's almost like no one officially wants to talk about what it is or why it's happening. But here's the deal. And we're going to talk about a little bit. But by the end of this, I think you'll understand that the simplest explanation is probably the creepiest one. And I've always had this theory. If the answer is always boring, it's probably the legit thing, right? So
it's got to be part of like Occam's razor there, I think.
It's got to be something like that. But you know, when I found these things, it kind of brought back that childhood memory that I had of, you know, having a CB radio and hearing things and how cool it was. But there was a reason, right? Like with a CB, you're having a communication. It's like, hey, buddy, there's the police are up ahead or the highway patrol or whatever it may be. There's a communication with a radio station. It's the same thing. But why with this? Is there nothing, no rhyme or reason, no explanation? And in this case, shortwave, it's kind of weird. It's not like a radio station. It doesn't act like a FM radio station. The thing with shortwave is it can go really long distances. So it can go all the way across oceans.
Mm.
And it makes me wonder, is this maybe meant not for someone in our country, but maybe somewhere else? And the reason for that is it's always a repeating tone. It's like a marker. And sometimes I wonder, like, what would the point be? Is there like a code book? It's what's those secrets where it's like they give a series of numbers and then you turn the pages of the book and it's like the page number and then the paragraph and then the word in that
Right.
paragraph. Like, is it a case like it's something like that?
I remember a lot of that when PC gaming first started. like,
Yes.
you'd have the manual.
Yes.
And to prove you own the game, it would make you change to different pages. That was very
Right.
popular back then.
Very popular. And it's always like a repeating tone, almost like, well, if you didn't catch it the first time, maybe you'll catch it on the next one. Or maybe you've flipped to the page and now you're flipping to whatever it may be, right?
Yeah. Does it ever change? Or
Yes.
is it always the same?
Nope.
Oh, okay.
It changes. And the voice is always the same. It's always a calm voice. It's pretty flat. It almost feels like it's, to a degree, like it's clinical, right? It feels like it's
Like no discernible.
100%.
Yeah, I noticed that it's very similar to the story I just told.
Yes. Very
Like
much
I couldn't
so.
tell you the nationality they are.
Correct. That's what makes it so weird. That's why it fits so well with your story, in my opinion.
Hmm.
Now, the weird thing is that sometimes it's reading numbers or letters or short phrases. You heard part of that. And to everyone else, it doesn't make any sense. Like there's no rhyme or reason for any of it. So let me ask you, why do you think the voice is always plain? Even in your story, why do you think it was such a boring voice? Is that on purpose? Or do you think that there's a reason for it?
Well, I know I bring this up a lot because this is one of my favorite stories.
Yep.
But you know the guy who kept getting calls from an alien or whatever it was?
Yeah. The Sudbrink files, is that what you're talking about?
The Sudbrink files?
Yep.
I always felt like it was learning to talk from things it had heard.
Yep.
So I feel like these voices are maybe extraterrestrial or maybe something else. And they've assimilated from all the voices that they've heard.
Yep.
And it generates a middle ground that you don't get in real life.
Right.
Which is a very flat voice with no distinction from other speakers.
Which is very likely.
Hmm.
So do you lean more towards this is like paranormal? Or do you think that this could be like people?
I think, well, especially if I'm looking at both stories,
Yeah.
the one from the Arctic has definitely got some sci-fi or paranormal.
For sure. I thought
undertones.
UFOs when he was telling it.
Yeah. And the voice from the two stories makes me think that maybe yours is too. But I also think like it could be a international secret spy thing. But if it's still happening today, who is it talking to?
Well, see, that's the thing. There's a lot of different theories that go around all of this. Part of it is, and what a lot of people say is, in a crisis, modern networks, they can be monitored, they can be blocked, you can shut them down. Radio is a little bit harder to control. It's fully, set across to where it can go across borders, but there's limitations. It's almost like it's a backup method that doesn't care about if, networks are down or websites are down. To a degree, if you think about it, radio is kind of like the cockroach of communication, right? Respectfully,
Right. You can't kill that.
It survives forever. There's nothing. It's like literally Fallout, the game.
Right.
Those cockroaches, they're impossible to kill.
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, any apocalyptic story, the radio's still working.
Right. every single story. And Fallout's a great example. Like you got radio stations that's playing all the music. Like when everything else in civilization has fallen apart, the radio is still there. So it's in this
Mhm.
case, I mean, it's broadcasting openly creates, if anything, deniability.
Right.
You know, it looks like nothing. It doesn't prove anything. People that's listening
Mhm.
to it, they're like, I have no clue what all these numbers and letters and phrases are. Like what you
Right.
just heard, you have no clue what it's talking about.
No, unless you got the other part of the cipher, it's impossible to decode. There's not
Right.
enough information.
And the reason that I think the voices on these are so weird
Mhm.
and they almost feel like clinical, right? Like that's the best way I can
Right.
explain it is if somebody says, Nick, I know you did that. You can go, well, anyone could have done that. Like that wasn't me.
Yeah, it could have been anyone.
Could have been anyone. Especially when
Right.
we live in a day and age of like 11 labs. I mean, you got to understand
Mhm.
these things were the video or the audio you just listened to was from the 70s.
Right. It sounds computer generated, but it definitely we didn't have that technology then.
No, that was the 70s, folks. I think it was 1977.
Right.
And that's old. That's my age. That's old. You know? But also builds a little bit of curiosity. So a lot of people, you know, when they sit there and they think about it and they listen to it, it's like it doesn't mean anything, but to somebody, it probably
Mhm.
does mean something.
I can't see any other purpose for it if it didn't.
But there has to be a reason, right? You're not going to continually
Right.
be playing these things from the 70s. Like that's from 77 all the way to today. They call
Mhm.
them number stations. That's what these things are.
Right.
And I guess my theory is, well, you know, in a case like this, if there's a rhyme or reason for it, the infrastructure exists. And if it does the job, why would you ever
Mhm.
change it?
That's what drives me crazy though. What is the job?
Well, there are theories. I'm going to give you a few different theories. Okay.
Okay.
People that's way smarter than us, Nick.
Right. Can't be many of them.
So the skeptics, I'm going to give you a skeptical point of view first.
Okay.
So shortwave is packed with all kinds of weird different transmissions. If you've ever listened to shortwave radio, it's kind of like a hobby experiment to a degree. There's all kinds of like, especially probably where you are, you know, maritime
Right.
communications, like that's going to fall into some of that shortwave ham operators.
Mhm.
There's going to be data bursts in there. Like it's kind of like a,
Mhm.
you know, roll the dice and this is what you get kind of situation.
All the people out on the boats have radio.
Yeah,
So we get a
100%.
lot of that. Yeah.
100%. So when you look at it like that, you know, some of the skeptical people, what they say is, well, clearly people's just hearing patterns. Okay. They're
Right.
hearing all these different things. Like the thing we just listened to, it was a voice that's saying this thing, but then there's beeping and like little music and thing. It's just a whole bunch of different things that looks like it's matching up and you're creating a pattern in your head.
I don't buy that one.
Nick's like, nope. The other one is it's hoaxes and hobbyists that are existing. So what they're saying is not every single creepy broadcast is a government operation. Some are just pranks. Some may be like an art project.
Mhm.
Other people's just testing transmissions. And once a legend is kind of out there, well, you have this thing called copycats, right? We talk about copycats
Oh, yeah.
all the time. So they're saying, well, someone's just out there having fun. What do you think about that?
Well, there still had to be an original.
Has to be an original, right? It has to make sense.
Hmm.
But remember that M. Night Shyamalan movie with The Village? I think it was The Village, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
There was a story of these creatures, and then all of a sudden there was one creature and then two creatures,
Mm-hmm.
but one was an original. So it's like,
Right.
that's kind of like a copycat to a degree.
There's something too to say about copycats usually get bored pretty quickly.
Sure.
They don't usually do stuff for 40, 50 years straight. That
Not
takes
normally.
resources, dedication,
Right.
that kind of thing. And I know there are people who go a long way for a joke. Like there's this guy in this online game that put his characters asleep and idle on a bridge and
Oh,
left it
yeah.
there for 7 years.
I've seen that. Yeah, I've seen that story.
Like cults grew up around it and all that kind of stuff.
Didn't they name the bridge
then he
off
just-
after him or something?
Yeah, I think they did. And eventually, when he was done with it years later, the character woke up and left.
Right.
Like, there are some people dedicated, but not like 50 years dedicated.
No,
40 something years dedicated.
I don't think so either. But that is one of their theories. The third biggest theory that they have is that it could be a training or like a beacon testing or time signals, oddball, utility traffic. Skeptics basically argue that the mystery, it gets sloppy onto anything that refuses to explain itself. So again, because we can't explain it, we go, aha, this must be some form of espionage or spies or something like that. That's kind of where the third panel of people kind of fit.
Yeah, and I kind of had my suspicions of that, but
yeah,
I don't know. It's not a lot of information to go on.
It's not. Basically, I guess if you look at skeptics in general, it's kind of one of those, it's mostly noise. Some of it's people being weird and the rest is just an unknown utility that's doing something.
Well, I think it's subterranean aliens.
Nick has this theory already, folks.
That's right.
Well, the
From under
believers,
the ice.
they always kind of break down a few different things. They always say, listen, there's always marker tones. There's always repetition. There's a schedule that these things follow. It's always a scripted delivery. It's structured. There's no random shortwave chaos whenever it happens. They also talk about the fact that, you know, for them, if there's a one-time pad logic, it fits too well because it explains why it could be public and not private. It explains why the message is always short. It explains why the voice is always emotionless and consistent. Like if you remember back in the old days, the weather radios, it was always that one voice that would repeat over and over and over again.
Has it all this time on that station been the same voice?
No. So the voices do change. But
okay. I was going to say they'd have to record decades of pre-recorded data.
Right. Now, what they say is they find different messages, but sometimes they do repeat. Oftentimes not at the same day and time, but it will repeat based on what it is. So there's always some of that. And then obviously there is the believers. They say that the fact that it still continues on to this day is kind of a telltale, right? If it was purely just a relic, it would fade out completely eventually, but people are still logging into these. So believers say that somebody's still pushing a message through all of these old infrastructures.
Right. Well, there is good evidence for that it's still being purposely operated.
Right.
Because media, even like our hard drives, our thumb drives, all that stuff.
Yes.
That wears out. That has a shelf life.
Correct.
And it's not decades and decades.
Right.
So if this was all pre-recorded, it would have ran through itself by now.
For sure.
Like the media would have degraded. You would have heard like before it changed, actually the fact that it's changing at all means it's still being purposely run.
Which I learned something this weekend I didn't know based on exactly what you're talking about.
Mm-hmm.
So if you have a hard drive, which I've got plenty of around here, it's a mechanical device. It will last forever until the mechanical features inside of it break.
Right.
Or unless
they do, unfortunately.
Unless they meet like a magnet or something like that, right?
Yeah.
An SD drive, they do not.
They don't. Well, a solid state drive is not invincible.
Yeah.
And the components that run it do break down. So you could probably retrieve it forever, but your drive on its own won't last forever.
I found out this weekend, I thought the same exact thing. They say a solid state drive, you have to at least push power through it once
Yeah.
per year.
Yeah. I've heard that as well.
If you do not, so let's use, for example, you got family photos. I'm going to help some of you folks out there. This is valuable.
Yeah. This is specific to thumb drives as well, by the way.
Exactly. Actually, you know what? Here, I'm going to show you because I've got one right here. Whenever we do our podcast, I put it on a solid state drive. So one of these little bad boys right here, it's got this long freaking cable. So long story short, I plug it into the computer, I download it on here, and then I take it upstairs, and that's where I edit all of mine and Nick's and my podcast, and everything is all handled on a solid state drive. Let's say I had some family photos on here, and I'm like, man, this is such a good time. And I went upstairs and I threw it in a drawer. And then 5 years go by. The fact that there was no power that ran through this machine, eventually the electrons, because this is all just ones and zeros, eventually one will flip and it becomes a corrupted file.
Yeah, it doesn't take much.
It does not take a whole lot. So the guy basically said, never throw a solid state drive into a drawer. At least run power through it once. He said once every month, maybe every 6 months, but a year is really the longest that you should not have some type of power going through it.
It's funny you say that because I only learned that like in the last year, I think.
I didn't know it until this last weekend. I literally watched a video on it and I'm like, that is crazy.
Yeah. I think it's because things want to return to their natural state.
Right.
So those electrons will flip over time because it's just that little bit of power that keeps it in that state.
Yes. Is that crazy? It just makes no sense.
It is crazy. Well, it's just another thing that goes to show you that if our civilization is wiped out, we'll have no record because we only write on paper, not tablets.
Right.
We don't engrave anything hardly.
Right.
And all our data is on media that only lasts a year.
Facts. It's
right.
Nuts. I don't know. But then you look at stuff like this and it lasts for freaking ever. This has been going on for 50 years. Still happening.
Plus, the signals will go on forever out into the universe.
Correct. Exactly.
People will be hearing about us when we're long dust.
Now, I know this is my favorite part. I want to see if this is your favorite part. Do you want to hear some of the fringe theories on this?
Oh, yeah. I love the fringe theories.
That's always my favorite part. So what the people that's into the fringe says is that if it's not human, it has to be something else. That's kind of like what you and I was talking about on yours, right? The idea is that the numbers aren't meant to be understood by us at all. They're a trigger signal, basically like a synchronization ping. Almost like you're hearing like a handshake, not necessarily a conversation. Remember back in the old days, getting on the internet, bing, 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 boom,
yeah.
boom, boom. Same thing. So what we're basically hearing to a degree is like Wi-Fi. It's something,
connection protocol.
Yeah, it's something we hear, we can't see it. Others say that it's a time loop broadcasting. A stranger theory that's a little bit kind of out of the norm is that the stations are almost like an echo to a degree. So it's a transmission that's stuck repeating across time, bouncing through conditions that we don't understand. So it's not like a ghost. It's more like a weathered recording that's still bleeding into the present.
Right.
Or like a residual haunting, I guess, is a better example, right?
It's ghost radio.
Kind of like a ghost radio. You've seen the ghost trains, right?
Yeah. Ghost ships.
Same thing. Ghost ships, ghost trains. I actually just watched a video on a ghost train today. And I'm like, dude, that's so creepy. It's literally just a train, nobody on it, just going down the tracks, just keeps on going. You're like, what is that? Wow. Why is it still like, what's happening? Like, where's this going?
That would be wild if it happened here because we're crisscrossed with all old train tracks that they tore up years ago. But there used to be trains that went through every town here.
That's so wild.
And the tracks are still there.
That is so wild. The third and last one that I put on here is psychological operations meant to be found. So basically it says the creepiest is kind of on point with it's almost seeding rumors. It's distracting hobbyists and flooding the space just with noise because confusion can be useful, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Oh, that makes a lot of sense.
So I don't know. I don't know where I fall on this camp. It doesn't make a lot of sense. Like I want to say, yeah, the residual noise thing sounds kind of cool, but I don't know. I think there might be something nefarious to it.
It's a brainwashing signal that makes people believe in the flat earth.
It could be. It could very well be.
Full circle, baby. Full circle.
It's what it, you know what it is?
What?
Doggone Zozo demon.
It's Zozo doing it, playing a trick on us all.
Dude is so wild. I don't know. I thought that was an interesting story. Hopefully y'all found it interesting also. Is it time to open something up, Nick?
I think it sure is.
I think it is too.
Let's get our knives ready.
I got mine right here, my raptor claw. Oh, Nick, he got that click, boys.
So I got another one of these slime things, which I'm not super happy with because the slime is disgusting.
But look at it this way. At least it's separate. You don't have to open this package, Nick. You don't have to do the slime this time because you know it smells bad.
I do. I'm not going to touch the slime. I just want the toy.
Just want the toys, boys and girls. Who goes first this week, Nick?
I don't, I never remember.
I can't even remember either.
Boy, there's a lot of plastic on it.
You would think I would remember, but I never do. I can't ever.
Yeah, I'll go. Get it over with.
Let's see what you got, Nick. Better not be a demo dog.
Oh my God.
What?
It's a demo dog.
No way.
Same as last time. And I'm leaving this goo right in its container.
What a crock,
Nick. I can't wait till these are done and I can go get more of the other kind.
All right. For me, I got...
What you got, Bert?
Trying to figure out what side of the face. It's always hard because I can't never figure out. I think this is right. It is.
Ooh.
Oh, it's what's this guy's name?
The black phone guy, the grabber.
Yeah, the black phone guy. Look at that. He's creepy, boys.
That's cool.
So he's going to go
you ever
right
seen
here.
Those movies?
No, I have no clue what that is.
Oh, you got to watch them. They are good.
It looks like the mask that they had on during like The Purge. Remember that movie?
Yeah. Yeah, I do. When I first saw it, I thought, oh, it's kind of like that.
And also they had that world famous, what's that world famous face in The Purge? Was it like the Guy something mask or something? Like it had a specific.
Oh, Guy Fawkes mask?
Guy Fawkes mask. That's it. Yep.
Yeah. He was in V for Vendetta.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like that's crazy. So what did y'all think about our stations? Do you think Antarctica does it got some stuff going on? Did the guy get beamed up by ET? That's what I want to know. Also, what do you think about my story? Speaking of ET, before we go, I got to tell something I watched this weekend because I don't think most people know. I watched a documentary on Alf.
Oh, Alf.
Remember old Alf back in the day? The best show ever.
From Mel Mac.
From Mel Mac. He's a Mel Macian, Nick.
Yeah. Favorite food? Cats.
Did you know that they did have a last episode, which was not the episode of him getting captured at the end?
I did not. Did it ever air?
It aired, and it was one of the most hated episodes and had the least amount of viewers.
What?
Because it didn't have the original cast.
What? This doesn't even make sense.
It was 7 years later. So they did the entire series, and they never knew when the show was going to get canceled. There was an agreement between the guy that came up with the entire premise. He was a puppeteer, and the network, just out of nowhere pulled the entire show on the last episode. So that was on the network.
Wow.
There was an outpouring of people. They're like, you can't end the show like that. And the network's like, watch us. And they straight did. So the owner of the entire thing continued to try to get the last episode created by somebody else, and no one would take it on.
That's so weird.
The reason for that was that guy was horrible to work for because he was a perfectionist. So, like a prime example, child labor laws, which they had the boy that was on there and the girl, I can't remember their names now, but in the show, they would go to school, they would get their homework, and then they would record sometimes 16 to 18 hours in one day, go to bed, and then start the entire thing over. So most series, they would record the entire series over the course of 2 or 3 weeks. Theirs was taking sometimes per day, just enough time to get part of an episode complete.
Wow.
And what made it so complicated was there was holes in the ground that the guy would stand over to do some of the puppeteering.
Yeah.
So the actors, if they got in the way, it'd be like, nope, we're starting over again. And they would have to do the entire scene all over again.
Yeah, that doesn't sound like fun.
No. So I don't know. I found that interesting. Hopefully you guys remember Alf. If you remember Alf, put your favorite episode of Alf in the comments down below. I know mine. Do you know yours, Nick?
I don't. It's been a long time.
Mine was the Christmas special. There was a Christmas special where they was in this lodge and Alf screwed up, and I think he got lost all the gifts or something, and he ended up running away. And when he ran away, he went to I think it was like a hospital, and there was a little girl, and all the little girl wanted for Christmas was to live. And I think there was a dark part of that. Yeah, but Alf was there with them at the end, and then he brought presents to like these kids and stuff. It was a good Christmas special is what I'll say. But yeah, that's my favorite episode. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this episode of the Deceptive Reality Podcast. Until we see you next time, goodbye.
Goodbye from Melmac.
Nick's a Melmacian now. I knew this day was going to come.